get started here. Really excited about this. Happy New Year, everybody. We're grateful that we're able to have Nikki with us here at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, to close us out with a lot of energy and to kick us off with a lot of energy. My name is Justin, and I am an addict. I've been actively working the steps in the rooms of recovery since September of 2013, and am grateful to be sober one day at a time, thanks to my God, the steps, and the fellowship of other addicts. RICO 12 is an organization with the mission of learning and sharing the similarities of addiction of all kinds, and gaining and sharing tools and hope from others who are walking a similar path. Speakers from our past meetings and current meetings have represented many fellowships and identify with addictions with such variety as alcohol, drugs, food, sex, gambling, relationships, theft, just to name a few. Each Friday at noon Central Time, we hold a live lunch hour speaker meeting with a recovering addict from anywhere on earth, pertaining to any or no faith tradition, and with any background, who shares their experience, strength, and hope on a specified recovery topic of their choice. They share for 20 to 25 minutes on that topic, and then the live audience gets the opportunity to ask questions of that speaker for another 20 to 25 minutes. Now, before I introduce our guest speaker for today, I want to make a quick announcement about plans for RICO 12 in 2022. Beginning in March, the beginning of March, we are going to start a 12-week series on each of the 12 steps of recovery. I'm searching for people who are absolutely passionate about one of the 12 steps and come from any and all fellowships of recovery, and who would like to share with us their experience, strength, and hope on that step. The basic format will be about the same, 20 to 25 minutes of the share on that particular step, and then 20 to 25 minutes of Q&A from the live audience on that step. If you or someone in your fellowship is passionate about one of the steps and just seems to share about a particular step and the power of that step in their life, please consider reaching out to me at rico12pod@gmail.com. That's RECO12POD @gmail.com, and we will discuss it and get it scheduled. All right, now we're gonna get ready to hear from Nikki, and I'm just gonna turn the time over to her. She is a firehouse. She's been a guest speaker here on meeting number 7 and meeting number 37, and here we are on meeting number 82, and just excited to hear from her. Nikki, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you, Justin. I'm so grateful to be back. Hi, I'm Nikki M. I'm a grateful member of many 12-step fellowships, and I'm back here to talk probably about the most exciting thing, creating the fellowship you crave. And as Justin said, I came on here initially about how the big book saved my life. So that might give you a little background story if you want to know more about my personal story about how this all got started. And I can just kick us off right here about how God used me as a vessel to create the fellowship I crave. See, that's a promise on page 164 of our beautiful magic big book, which is a design for living. What happened is I was in the rooms. I came in through Al-Anon, of course, because I'm never the problem. It's everybody else. And I need to change all the people around me, don't you know? I'm perfect. So long story short, I'm in the rooms of Al-Anon, and I slowly wake up to the fact that I'm the problem. And then as I get a sponsor in Al-Anon, and we're slowly working, and I mean slowly working the steps, 2 years, step 6 I'm on, and I'm slowly dying. And many of you who know the real undiluted message of the big book, we work the steps quickly or we die. So I was slowly dying in some other literature other than the big book. And my Al-Anon sponsor at the time said, Nikki, it sounds like you have a sex and love problem. And I'm like, that's not me. Excuse me. That's for weirdos, not me. And long story short, I found out that I'm as sick as they come in that room. And it was hard for me to find a sponsor in that room, in the rooms of SLAA. I just really, to be honest, no one had what I wanted. And I'd been in the rooms now. I'm here 4 years in the rooms, okay? And I'm dying, slowly just dying. What they talk about on page 52 of our big book, I'm prey to misery and depression. I can't manage personal relationships, and I'm in the rooms. I am I have a life full of misery and depression. It's crazy. I want to die. And I'm on now in our book, in one of the stories on page 428, I'm contemplating suicide every day. And as we talked about it before, Justin, Cameron is my neighbor. He's been on here before. And my Al-Anon sponsor had fired me because I didn't call at 7 a.m. on a Friday morning. Meanwhile, I worked till 2 a.m. on a Thursday night. And I called Cameron and I said, I've been fired. And he came over to my house and he brought his workbook. And what Cameron has done is he's taken the big book and condensed it into a 32-page, basically a Cole's Notes version of the big book. It's for lazy people like me. It gives you all the fine points of how to live life without reading all 164 pages. Now, that doesn't mean I get out of reading the 164. It means that I get through these pages so I can at least get out of bed and function and be a part of society so I can carry a message and not kill myself. So Cameron takes me through this 32-page workbook. And I light up, as Justin says, I start getting on fire because I'm in the undiluted message of the big book. What happens then is I start carrying this message into my rooms that don't allow the big book. So I have to really memorize the big book because I'm not allowed to bring it into my home groups. So one day I'm at a meeting. This is, I think, year 4.5 I'll be 10 years in the rooms, Justin, in February. Amen. Thumbs up. I will be in the rooms the week of February 14th. I'm a hardcore love addict. I come in the week of Valentine's to save the man I love because I'm dying. And it will be 10 years and I will make it. The week of February 14th, 2022, 10 years. I have not left the rooms. That's number one secret, people. Never leave the rooms. I've never left. When I was dying, I never left. I went into other rooms. I never left. And I wanted to many times. So long story short, and I'll say that a lot because I like to condense these things, is that I'm at a meeting and two of the women in my home group, and I've been to a business meeting, Justin. I've asked at the business meeting, can we please once a month use the big book? Please, can we use it? No, Nikki, that's not allowed here. It's group consciousness. Now, this is a small meeting. There's about 4 people at our business meeting. 3 of them don't want it. Nikki does. Of course, that's the majority. So I'm chairing a meeting one day. 2 girls talk about suicide. And these are in the meetings where there's no crosstalk allowed. So the person talks about suicide. The next person next to them talks about their bad day. Because crosstalk's not allowed. No one's allowed to address the person that's going to kill themselves. And then we go to the next share and that person talks about suicide. So Nikki's getting pretty anxious and I whip out my big book because I'm chair that day, even though I've been told not to. I whip out my big book and I start sharing the message, the undiluted message, and I crosstalk. Well, I get home and I get a text message from my friends in that meeting about the traditions. Nikki, God is the ultimate authority. You're at personality. And I just reply back with no pause. I will not be returning to your meeting. Resentment. Big one. No pause, no program in that moment. But out of that resentment, I need a new meeting. I'm not going back there. I'm starting my own meeting. And I use some really graphic terms, colorful terms in there. But long story short, I didn't cause any damage. I just said, no, I'm not going. And I started my own meeting. Now, at this point, I have sponsored some people. I have got them into the big book with me. I have found some people so now it's me and I have a couple sponsees and I'm like, you guys, do you want to do this meeting with me? Can you make this commitment? Because all you need, people, you need to sponsor. You need to get a few people who are speaking the same big book. And I'm going to push the big book language. You need people who speak the undiluted message, who speak the same language as you. So now I have sponsored a few people who speak the same language as me, and not just see, my sponsors in Cocaine Anonymous. I need people in SLA and Al-Anon who speak big book, who speak my language, because I'm still going to the rooms of CA, but that's not my primary fellowship. So I don't want to mention names today because there's way too many to mention, but I do have to mention 2. I have to mention Sarah B, because she is the sponsee that I took through who literally rinsed and repeat what I taught her, what Cameron taught me, what the book teaches all of us. She just rinsed and repeated it like a little robot, like I did. Because when Cameron took me through the steps, he said, the very last thing I wrote on my workbook on the page was go create your own 100. And I took that serious. Create. And people go, what does that mean? Well, that's what Bill and Bob did. They created their own 100. I created my own 100. Some of them are on here today. So I sponsored Sarah B. And Sarah B. sponsored a lot of women. And Sarah B. produced her sponsee. So it went me, Sarah B. sponsees, and then I got Kimia. Kimia's 4 people from me. And we're all on this WhatsApp group. So we have this meeting and we have a WhatsApp group now. And this is all pre-COVID. So we're in person, Justin. This is all, you go in your room, you come in with your big book. We have a preamble that we don't read the steps because it says, here are the steps we took, not here are the steps we read and talked about. We do not read the steps in our meeting. We do not read the traditions. We don't read the characteristics of a sex and love addict. We read the big book. We read the solution. We don't let people take hostage our meeting with their problems. The meeting is for the message. Your mess is for your sponsor. You share the message at a meeting. You take your mess to a sponsor or a fellow. I know people who take meetings hostage by literally barfing their problems. And what about the newcomer? Primary purpose. What's your traditions? We said ours is to carry this message, the big book message. So I'm only sponsoring women at this time. And we start a WhatsApp group. It's me, Sarah, 2 other sponsees. Sarah starts bringing her sponsees in, and it's only women in this chat. And we call ourselves spiritual gangsters. I don't start this group. My sponsee does. Me and 3 women that I sponsored start this. And these women are my daughter's age. I mean, some of you can see me on camera. I'm almost 50, Justin. These girls are literally my baby's age. This is like 4 years ago. So they're 26, my daughter's age, 20, 25. And it's like, they're molding me. They're shaping me. It's crazy. So they get me on WhatsApp because I know none of this. They start this group. Somehow they bring their sponsees in. I'm adding my sponsees in. They're adding them in for me because I don't know how to do this. I'm only on my smartphone. I still don't have a computer. And so somehow this woman named Kimia, and I've seen Kimia. I find her at Cameron's workshop, like a wet cat, dying. And I don't sponsor her because now I've sponsored enough people that they're sponsoring. They're carrying the message. We've got an army of God soldiers. Someone snaps up this woman. She gets reborn. And my sponsees all leave. The 3 original sponsees who create this WhatsApp group leave. And now this woman who knows obviously technology starts adding on people. So now we have not only a women's group, we have a men's group. Now our fellowship's heavy on women because Nikki's only sponsoring women. Our group is growing. Nikki needs to start sponsoring men. Nikki starts sponsoring only men because we're heavy on the women who carry the solution. Our men in SLAW don't. There's some of them carry the big book, but they're not screaming it like we are. So we start sponsoring the men in our fellowship. They start waking up. I start sponsoring because some of the women aren't ready. That's cool. They're sponsoring the women. They are out there. Soldiers, same message. See, it goes from Cameron, me, Sarah's sponsee who left to Kimmy. That's 5 people. And some of these people in between are leaving, but we're still getting the same message from the people down below because there's only one message, the big book message, the undiluted. What does the book say? I won't say long story short. What happens then is that the men start waking up. Now our meeting starts growing. And guess what happens? Intergroup in Toronto Ontario Intergroup does not like our meeting. We're open. They want to shut us down. We're an open meeting. And don't you know in SLAW, open meetings are dangerous? Well, AA has open meetings. CA has open meetings. What's so terminally unique about sex and love addicts? No, our meeting will remain open. So then they get real serious with our group and they want to take us to world, to shut us down, to take us off the meeting list so people can't access us because we're dangerous. We have codependency in our title. We're the Wednesday night big book sponsorship codependents welcome. That's not allowed. See, now Intergroup is picking and choosing our name for us. Where are the traditions? Seriously, each group is autonomous except when to affect other groups as a whole. And we were not affected. Actually, we were helping. We were helping Intergroup because we're open. We're letting anyone in because sex and love addicts die by suicide and murder and homicide, suicide. A lot of them. That's how I got in here, people. See, my low was I was going to kill myself and kill my lover. And I've said it before, Justin, this is not a bad Friday night TV movie. I'm like, how could those people do that? They're psychopaths. It happened to me. And I have a family. I'm a normal, quote unquote, normal person. And I was going to kill my lover because he didn't want me. And my beautiful children don't matter. My house doesn't matter. My 4-pound pocket dog doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I've lost the power of choice. I can't stop once I start. And I'm in the grip of a progressive illness. I can't get under anyone to get over anyone. I'm at death's doorstep. So I take this real serious. So we're trying to get Intergroup's trying to shut us down. But guess what? The power of God, we tapped into a source greater than ourselves, keeps us safe and protected against Intergroup, and our meeting flourishes. That's what happens. And we're actually, Nikki's got a resentment against Intergroup, but guess what we do? We send our money. We send it to Intergroup. That's what we do with our 7th tradition because people are generous and we have to pay it forward. That's what we're told to do in our group. So anyway, Intergroup quiets down. Our meeting keeps growing. It's okay. It's, this is all pre-COVID. We're in the rooms. We're sponsoring. We have now a men's WhatsApp group and a female WhatsApp group. Okay. COVID hits. And this is how you create the fellowship you crave. You have to sponsor. It's a 12-step program, not an 11-step, and certainly not a 13-step program, period. And we don't 13-step in our program because we're a family. We use that word, family. We're a chosen family. So what happens here is that COVID hits. We go online. And we've got some soldiers. Again, there's so many, but I don't want to mention too many names because I don't want anyone to feel left out. But Tony and Chris, Kimmy and me are the core group of our online Wednesday night big book meeting. Chris has not missed a meeting. Tony doesn't miss a meeting. Kimmy and myself. I mean, this is our home group, the 4 of us. And we kind of set we had a business meeting, set the terms of what it looks like online. And we got online. And what did we do when we went online? Well, Nikki started going to other meetings that didn't carry the message. I was banned in LA on a Zoom meeting. They had a group consciousness that Nikki M shouldn't come back because I told the room they're going to die because that's what the big book says. And they don't open the big book. They were sitting in the meeting. I went in and I shared the message, not the problem, not the mess. And I know it's shocking to some of these meetings that aren't used to hearing it, that you're going to die. But page 30 says that many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. And I sponsor a lot of dry drunks. What does that mean? Sobriety. What does that mean? I stopped drinking. I stopped using drugs, but I picked up food, people, scrolling, gambling. I picked up every acting out behavior you can do, but I'm sober and I want to die. 13 years sober in the rooms of AA, and I don't know one word in my big book. That's who I sponsor now, Justin. I don't sponsor newcomers anymore. I give those to my sponsees. I don't do outreach calls because I make people cry because I get hard with my message. I don't mean to. And Cameron says, we all have our own style. I've tried to be softer like some of the people in my fellowship. It doesn't work for me. There's one person who needs my message and they find me and I find them. God brings it together. God does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. New friends, if you're just hearing me and you don't like the word God, the acronym for me is grow or die. See, I don't like to grow. I like to sit in my dirty diaper. Oh, and my tiara. Think I'm better than you and less than you. So we get online. I'm going around to meetings and now we're tag teaming. Kimia, Sarah, Tony, come to this meeting in LA. They actually raise hands and get to call the next person. I mean, this is, okay, it's manipulation. I don't care what you call it. It's sharing the message. And we went in because these meetings in LA were big, and I'm from Orange County. I'm not originally from Toronto. I'm from Orange County. So I want to go home to a meeting and I want to see what they do in California meetings. And I don't want that. I want our Toronto meeting. So I go down there and not all meetings. I'm not trash talking people. They all serve a purpose. Please understand that. This is my experience. This is my story. Page 125 says that we addicts are sensitive people. So if you have a problem, please go take it to the properly appointed authority, which is your sponsor. Thank you. So I go down there and we tag team. I share a hardcore big book message. Sarah comes in, she tags Tony. Tony tags Kimia, and we're taking over the message of the meeting, which is follow the big book. And they haven't used the big book, but slowly these people start coming to our meeting. Justin, last Wednesday night, we had 160 people. We had a new fellow who has just come in. She chaired the meeting. She has been in AA for 13 years dying. Her tears were real as she cried and said she's been transformed in 3 months by working this way. She knows the book, but she just wasn't abandoning herself. So what happens? Our meeting starts growing. Then we get our chats start filling up. And I'm not a all woman, all men's, BIPOC, LGBTQ type of addict. I like all inclusive, meaning we of Alcoholics Anonymous, not I, not just Black people, not just white people, not just lesbians, not just men, not just women. We recover together. So I take that very seriously. So fine, we had the man and woman's, but group chat. Now, Justin, today, we're up to 11 WhatsApp groups. Each WhatsApp group holds 257 people. I think we got this year alone, I mean, I want to say five groups. We have now a meeting every day of the week. We have a meeting every day. And everyone, if you want to be part of the spiritual gangsters, you want to start a meeting, you must use our preamble. We don't read the 12 steps. You must be open meeting. You can't be a closed meeting if you want to be part of our fellowship. You must use the big book. I mean, and if you don't like it, as I've told people in our fellowship, go create your own fellowship. I have people who don't like what I say. Go start your own fellowship. Go start your own meeting. One person wanted to know, oh, I know, we have a hard stop at 8 p.m. We don't do overflow. We take questions for a minute and we're out of there. Our meeting, time is of the essence. One person didn't like that. They wanted a business meeting. They want all these things. You don't like it. This is our mission statement. This is what our group has decided. If you want another way of doing it, just like I was told, Nikki, we don't use the big book here. Well, then Nikki had to go start a meeting where I could use the big book. You know, this is how it goes. Justin, we have an OA meeting now, big book. And they're all big book sponsorship meetings. They all run off the same preamble. They all pose a question when the share, like we don't just barf about your day. That you do with your fellows. Get a God squad is what we encourage in our fellowship. Your sponsor's not going to be there. So you must have a God squad. We have a team. See, Kimmy is like, we've organized a God business here. If anyone can understand this, especially with this Zoom and with this, all of us being online, it's mind blowing what you can do and where you can reach. We have reached all corners of the world. I'm up at 7 a.m. sponsoring someone at 7 p.m. in Singapore. And a lot of our team is doing that. So like I said, I started out sponsoring just so everybody knows, because you do get bored. If you're bored in your program, switch it up. Start a new meeting. How about this if you're bored? Because it says boredom will kill us. I mean, you know that. Like we can't. We have to stay green and growing. Grow or die. God. Limitless expansion is what it talks about on page 275 of our big book. It's a design for living that we can never outgrow. So I started sponsoring women only. Then I started only men. Then I started sponsoring only dry drunks. Now I'm like, if you're only going to kill yourself, then call me. Otherwise, I've got a whole team of people who will sponsor you. You don't need me. And I don't have the reality is I don't have the patience for a newcomer. I'm sorry. That is the reality and the truth. And as we talked about before, Justin, I don't people please anymore. That's dishonest. That's why I don't do outreach. Last outreach call, someone said, can we do outreach? And Nikki was like, I was laying around. I haven't worked in 2 years, so I'm a full-time sponsor. I lost my job in COVID. I lost my rights in COVID. I lost, Justin, last time I was on here, I had a fiance in Luxembourg. That has ended because both of us has accepted the reality. Neither one of us are getting on a plane anytime soon. So we're just on a deep pause. It's just like, it is what it is. And it was eating at my soul. My resentment against my prime minister for not being able to travel was, I was going to jump off my roof one day. So I did what I was supposed to do, except page 417. And it is what it is. And people can't see me, but I'm smiling. I'm not allowed to get into Canadian hospitals and I'm smiling. I've lost everything, but I've grown a fellowship that has been here and reminded me. I can't get into my neighbor's house. They don't want me in there anymore. But some of the people I see on here let me in their home still and love me. See, I have found my God squad. In COVID, I've lost some family members, and I don't mean dying of COVID. I mean, just from different points of view. But my 12-step family loves and accepts me because we don't talk about outside issues. Those don't matter here. Only God matters. Only love matters. Create the fellowship you crave. It's crazy. God will do this for you. What is God? Being responsible, being accountable, being loving, being inclusive, letting everyone be part of this. And I have friends. I have a friend who started a fellowship that is crazy in Toronto, and it's for women only. And I'm seeing what she's doing, and it is next level madness. She's done this. She sponsors, her sponsee. That's how you know someone's working a program. And this is what I tell people. Don't call me your sponsor if you're not sponsoring. I don't sponsor people who don't sponsor. So I'm here. I'm nothing without my fellowship. So what is Kimmy? I want to get back to that. We have a monthly workshop that Cameron runs every month. Everyone presents a different step. We get new sponsees that come and present every month. Everyone has their own team of people because my sponsees have their own team and they have their own team. We have a talent show coming up. We have over almost 2,500 people in Spiritual Gangsters right now. And that number will be doubled by the end of 2022 because dark days are ahead. I'm not a prophet, but we see where things are going, Justin. This isn't going to go away overnight. And so Kimmy has a personal WhatsApp group just to teach people about service. We have note takers for every meeting. So if you miss a meeting, here comes in our group chat, the meeting list and the notes from last night. Every morning I send out a God morning message that breaks down one sentence or one passage so everyone can shove up in their brain, in every orifice of their body, a passage of the big book. We break down every word. Sometimes we Google the definition and we sit on that and we follow that direction as a family for that day. And then it's like, don't call me when we go into a meeting. It's like, Nikki, what should I do? Call other people. Now I know my time's also up, but I want to tell you the kicker that happened this year. Nikki started her own meeting. It's called Noodle It Out with Nikki, Monday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You call me up and you have a big book problem and we have a big book solution. And we noodle things out. What do? What does the book say? One of these, and I don't like to mention names again, but Cupcake, they made me a theme song. I mean, these kids are keeping me young. They're growing me. They're like, the other day I got crazy, Justin. And because I forget this isn't my WhatsApp anymore. This isn't me and my 3 sponsees. I just send out notes. One of the notes was nuts. It was, as I look back, it was offensive. I was yelling, I was screaming, being Nikki. I probably shouldn't have hit send, but I did. And guess what? I got some feedback about me being a cult leader. This is a religious cult. What the hell's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. But out of that, some people were very angry. But out of that, there was this one guy who heard my message and he said, Nikki, he sent me a private message and said, when you have time, it would be a privilege to have you scream the big book at me. So even though I offended about 10 people in that chat, one person who was dying, see, the person I offended, I know some of these people I offended, I don't know. See, this isn't my chat anymore. This isn't my meeting. This really isn't my fellowship anymore. I work for you people. So I have to, but what did I learn? I learned in that moment, Justin, I need to pause before I send things out. I need to think about who my audience is as I'm hitting send on my phone because someone's dying. But I have to remember too that one person's going to be affected by my message. See, the person who was so offended by me being aggressive doesn't realize that this man, if he acts out, will lose everything. He will die. And so that day I was embarrassed. I was like, what, I did all these things, but then it was like, I heard God, no, Nikki, you helped one person. See, that's my goal every day, Justin, is to help one life. I have purpose. Page 77. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves and to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. My job is to serve God and God's people. This is serious stuff. And again, I'll say it again, Justin, I have not lost anyone. And I know people have. I'm praying for you in COVID, but I've lost 10 addicts in COVID to addiction and suicide. My girlfriend who I'm talking about, who started her fellowship, you know some of these people who's died. A lot of us do in Toronto. We have lost people to addiction like you wouldn't believe. And so that's my mission. That's why I'm created. I am here to serve you people. God will show you how to create the fellowship you crave. Want it. It says on page 12, want it enough. Anything you put before God, you will lose. I have learned that. I'm here. I've never left. And then what happens is, guess what? Like on Wednesday night, when I came on my meeting, I have to do nothing. That's my home group. I have to do nothing but watch miracles. Justin, I get paid by God, freedom, peace of mind, hope, joy, happiness to watch miracles. I literally, you and I have talked about this before, Justin, and I'll end here. I love this line. This is my line. Miracles aren't just for radical Jews named Jesus. They're for girls named Nikki McKelvey, Nikki M. And yeah, you can know my last name. If you want to block it out, go ahead and block it out, Justin. I know how this is on the podcast. Shoot, didn't mean to say that. I know you can edit it out, but why? I've heard Bob D say, how are you guys going to find me? How are you going to find me if I do make it into the hospital? Hey, I'm looking for Nikki M. You need to know who I am. This is my life. I'm Nikki M, a grateful member of this beautiful fellowship. Create the fellowship you crave. Grab people to help you. Get a Kimia, get a Sarah B, get a sponsor named Cameron F who can show you how to do this. Get someone who tells you to create your own 100. And to the people I didn't mention, I love everybody. Like, I can't mention everyone's names, Justin. There's too many. I'm a vessel for God. I love you, Justin. You've helped me. Love you, brother.
Love you too, Nikki. Holy crap. Again, for the third time that we've had you as a speaker, you just blew me away. And I am so grateful for your energy, for your excitement. Before we jump into the Q&A, I just want to remind everybody here that's live in the audience. If you have a question for Nikki, please type it in the Q&A link at the bottom of your window. We'll get to as many as we can. We've got several that have already come in. And we're going to start off with a question from Sophia. Sophia says, hi, Nikki. What is your top piece of advice for a first-time sponsor? I'm going to take the 12th step tomorrow and then start sponsoring. So what do you have for Sophia, Nikki?
So what I have is rinse and repeat. Whatever your sponsor did for you, you do for that person. You add your own little flair. I don't robotic write like Cameron does. Sarah definitely doesn't do it like I do. Kimmy doesn't do it like me. We all have a different style. We add our little flair in, but we rinse and repeat. See, here it is. If it's not in the book, why are you suggesting it? And then if you're suggesting it, prelude it with my experience, strength, and hope. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Nikki. All right. Another question. This is from an anonymous attendee. It says, hi, Nikki. I have resentment toward my previous sponsor, who I now believe was still in the disease while sponsoring and was not doing what it says in the big book and co-signed my disease. They were not being sponsored. My part, I was dishonest by turning a blind eye to it all. I still feel resentment and feel like I would not have relapsed if not for that experience. I'm out of relapse now and with a new sponsor. How do I let go of this resentment and regret about relapse?
All right. I didn't know this was going to be a Noodle It Out with Nikki session, but it is. Turn your book to page 124. It says, cling to the thought that in God's hands, your past is your greatest asset. So why are you complaining? Your past is your greatest asset. You're to cling to that thought. Cling to the thought that in God's hands, your past is your greatest asset. Now, turn your book to page 116. We'll read directly from it. It says on page 116, there's another paralyzing fear. They're talking about relapse. They're saying it will prove to be a blessing. It will convince you to stop relapsing, acting out, drinking, thinking forever. You know you can stop because you've done it before. And right here it says, time after time, this apparent calamity, this disaster, this relapse has been a boon. It's a treasure. It's helpful to you because it opens up a deeper path, which leads to the discovery of God. See, you get a deeper discovery of God every time you relapse. Me, I just gave you the example. I went off on my chat, not my chat, the family chat. I went off. People don't know me. They're not my sponsees anymore. What do? I learn from that. Here, let's go to page 133. I cheerfully capitalize on it as an opportunity to demonstrate God's omnipotence. Why aren't you cheerfully capitalizing on it as an opportunity to say, I relapse and I can do better? Thank you, God. Thank you, God. This is a radical program. Radical. Google it. Google the word radical, extreme, divine, radical. That's why, honestly, you see why I can't sponsor newcomers, Justin. I'm scurry.
Love it. Holy cow. I need the Noodle It Out with Nikki jingle so I can throw it in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got you. Yeah. It's so great.
So make sure you get me the link for that and I'll definitely be there. I would love to participate and get that out to anybody who also would love to do that. Awesome. All right. Next question comes from another Nikki M. Nikki M asks to you, Nikki M, why are some fellowships so afraid of the radical spiritual gangsters method?
My experience, of course, this is my experience, strength, and hope. I want everybody who's on here, and please, if you listen, learn the history of AA. Can you please learn the history of the fellowship, of the group that you are in? See, they've watered down the message. They've been taught wrong. That's what's happened. Just like society, we've broken down because we keep being taught wrong. We have been taught in society that things are what's important when God's what's important. Same thing in the rooms. We've been taught to protect people's feelings is important rather than tell them the truth that you're dying. Right? So that's what's happened. Nikki M squared, I know you, and you know what's happened. I was dying in those rooms for 4 years. Is it their fault? No way. No way. They only were teaching what they knew. That's all. And that's why this seems so radical, because here it is. This is the original message. Everything else is watered down, and they are in that solution. So when we come back in with the original, they get scared. People get scared of it, isn't it? Think about if you tell somebody in your family, like, I told my mom, here it is. When I lost my job, she goes, what's going to happen? Like she's got her pension. She worked for the state of Arizona for years, like this life. And I'm 46 when I lost my job. I'm now 48. And I looked at her and she goes, what's going to happen? And I said, God, her mind blew off. Brains exploded in front of me. What do you mean you're not going to work ever again? I work for God, Mom. That concept, people don't understand. But let's go back 4,000 years. People understand that concept. Does that make sense to everybody? It's like, we've been so watered down. Learn what the Oxford group is. Learn about AA. You had to have a membership card to get in. Newcomers don't speak because they have nothing to offer. So this is radical, but I'm not going to apologize because you guys know why I'm so serious. Justin, you know why. Why does my mom live in my house? I'll say it one more time. Her husband took a gun, drunk, 11 a.m. in the morning, pointed it at my mom. 25 years they were married, and then he blew his head off in front of her. So Nikki M is very serious about recovery. I don't mess around with any of this because I live with the effects of alcoholism. My mom lives in my house with me forever. You understand where this goes. This is a family disease. So get serious about it. And that's why I was telling someone this morning, I'm worried about, I want this message to come across, and it doesn't matter how it's received, but why is it so important to me? And why am I? Because I don't want anyone else to suffer this way. This is a family disease. Grandpa was a good person. He didn't want to die. He never made it into the rooms. So I hope that helps, Nick. I mean, this is why people don't have a solution. They don't, but we're the lucky ones. Nikki M, we have the solution. So just go and share the message and forget about all that other people. Just forget about that. Just go be a soldier and share the undiluted message.
Love it. And about 2.5 years ago is when I started learning about the Oxford group and the origins of AA. And that shifted my whole recovery path. Just knowledge of where we come from and why things are this way has really made a huge difference in my own recovery path. All right, let's go to the next question.
Justin, 1 second. Can I say something on that? I know you got lots of questions. On page 275, I just want to say it very clearly says that we must toe the line. And if you Google the word toe the line means to accept the authority, principles, or policies of a particular group. You must accept the authority, principles, or policy of a particular group. We are in a 12-step program. We must toe the line. Go on, Justin. Sorry.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Next question comes in from Jason. Jason says, how can you tell the difference between your ego talking and humility talking?
Okay. Well, that's a promise. Why? Because it says we will gradually know, or we will intuitively, no, sorry. What used to be the occasional hunch gradually becomes a working part of the mind. That's on page 87. So it gradually becomes a working part of my mind. But this is how simple it is when you have a good teacher. When you go to the original of what our program is, whether it's self-will or God's will. And if you work our program, it's very simple, Jason. It says here, God's will or my will. And this comes, I'm pretty sure, someone please correct me. Or if you hear me later in a date, just know that I was wrong, okay? Self-will test. Is it dishonest, resentful, selfish, or fearful? Needs only one defect. That's how I know. I think that comes from the Oxford group. It's the absolutes, the 4 absolutes. Is it dishonest, resentful, selfish, or fearful? I only need one. God's will, the 4 absolutes. Is it honest, pure, unselfish, and loving? And that, Jason, is why they say, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed this path, meaning you need to be radically honest. It says very clearly in the book, constitutionally incapable of being honest. One of my friends in program is a lawyer. The legal term for that is you're a psychopath. If you're a psychopath, you won't make it. Constitutionally incapable of being honest means you're a psychopath. So just learn the 4 absolutes, learn your self-will versus God's will test, and you'll be safe and protected because it will gradually become a working part of your mind. We are being reprogrammed.
Awesome. Love it. Love that you brought the 4 absolutes in. All right. Next question from an anonymous attendee. Nikki, how do you stay zealous about recovery? I fall into indifference and apathy.
I follow the exact instructions of the book. What does the book say? What does the book say? It says enthusiasm. Page 15 says, my wife and I, that's Bill's story, abandon ourselves with enthusiasm. Google the word. It says wholeheartedly. It says sincerely. Google those words and meditate on them. See, I've been here 10 years. I wasn't enthusiastic every day. I told you when my prime minister announced that I've lost all my rights, there was a moment really, literally, that it was like, where do you go? What do you do? And then here it is, friend. How do I stay enthusiastic? I sponsor. My sponsees call me. I watch miracles. I mean, this is it. I am buckled so in this fellowship, my phone doesn't stop. That's how I stay enthusiastic. I go to my Wednesday night meeting. I watch a woman who was dying when she came in, and she was at my Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting. And she came on and I said, okay, don't worry, lady, we'll get you a sponsor. And she said, I want you. And I was like, okay. I never really do that because I don't want to sponsor, to be honest. I like to God sponsor, Justin. That's another thing I forgot to mention. I don't take a lot of people through the steps anymore. I'll take people like the dying person that I just talked about. But what I do is I book a lot of hour appointments with people. If you've worked the 12 steps, if you've already worked the 12 steps and you're sponsoring, then we book an hour appointment. We dive deep into the book and we God sponsor. We talk about the glory of God. We talk about the power of God. We talk that God will do for me what I cannot do for myself. We talk about the age of miracles is upon us. We sing the glory of this program for an hour. And then we get enthusiastic, pumped up, game time.
Holy crap. I'm just pumped up right now. Awesome. Thank you, Nikki. All right. Another question from MJ. MJ says, is there a way to get some relief from the beginning of relationship withdrawal, or I'm going to say any withdrawal from anything here that we're addicts, aside from diving into the work? Even with drugs, they give people something to ease the pain. Is there any suggestion or recommendation of something that can ease the pain? And that goes back to relationship withdrawal.
Okay, this is going to sound really crazy. And this is why this book is so magic. I think it's divine intervention. Obviously, we know this. It's like someone took Bill W.'s hands or the people in this program and wrote this book, because here's the oxymoron. On page 70, it says, if sex, if love, if people, if codependency, if anything is troublesome, you throw yourself harder into helping other people. I lost my job and became a full-time sponsor. I lost my job and became a full-time volunteer. I lost my job and served my 92-year-old auntie till they blocked me out of the hospital to see her. I'm telling you, the only way out, and here it is. I've got to withdraw off people and then throw myself harder into people. Yes. It's crazy. I don't know how this works. I have a friend in program and he goes, I don't know how this works, but it works. I don't know how it works. I don't know how. I don't know how I'm sitting here in Toronto, Canada, and I can see Justin I think you're in Utah, on my phone. I don't know how that works. I don't know how I fell in love with some of these people that I've never met. I don't even know that you have people have legs because I've only seen you on the screen of my Zoom calls. I don't even know if you have people have bottom halves, but I'm deep in love with you. I don't know how that happens. How am I deep in love with a sponsor in Chicago and he's a male and he's closer to me than I am to my brother who I've known my whole life. I tell him things that I can't tell my brothers, that my brothers don't even want to know. How? So throw yourself. That's how you get out of withdrawal. If you lay in your bed in your dirty diaper, you're going to die. If you sit about in self-pity, poor me, why me, self, I, me, die. This is radical. You must throw yourself. Go get a volunteer job. Find a senior. Walk a dog. Clean your room. Help yourself. Go get a massage. Seriously, if you lay around, you're going to die. And we're going into a deep, it's winter here. I don't even know what to tell you. Okay, polar vortex up here in Ontario. You better do the work or you won't make it. What does the book say?
Awesome. Nikki, we have time for one more question. We've got lots here that have not been answered. I will save those and send those to you. I don't know how we can get that answered. I mean, I can put it on the website. But anyways, we're going to go to this one question. We'll figure it out later. Nikki, a question from an anonymous attendee. How do you cope with close fellows who have left program? The big book says we do not chase. How have you coped with mourning your relationship with people who have left the rooms?
Wonderful way to end this, because this is like, okay, you want to talk about loving detachment. I'm a people snorter. I'm not going to let you go. And what does it do? It teaches you when they leave to trust God. I'm going to take everyone to this page. Anonymous person who asked me, and this is the best place to end. I just told you, the person like Sarah sponsored somebody who sponsored Kimia. That middle person's gone. I don't even know where she is. And I know God's got her. Why? Page 120. For anybody who struggles with worrying. Well, worrying is a sin. Don't worry. Faith or fear. Remember, we trust an infinite God rather than our finite self. But this is the most important thing. How do I deal? You ask me, and I always go, what does the book say? How do I deal with people who leave the fellowship? Page 120. We're going to read the last paragraph, and I'm only going to read the first sentence and the last sentence from that. Here it is, anonymous friend. We never arrange a person's life, period. If they leave, they leave. If they stay, they stay. Not my business. My business is to teach the 12 steps. And then I go to the last sentence. This is what I do, my anonymous fellow. When people leave the fellowship, I place the problem along with everything else in God's hands. When my 17-year-old son basically told me to F off the other night because I told him to wear a helmet as it was snowing when he's riding his electric bike dressed in all black with no lights. And I said, don't come over here like that again, son. And he left. Oh, old Nikki would have been crazy. And no, he didn't. He just gave me attitude. He's a very good boy. I like to exaggerate. That's a character defect. I just placed the problem along with everything else in God's hands. When my relationship ended, I just placed the problem along with everything else in God's hands. When I can't get a job, when I've lost my rights, when I know that the polar vortex of the winter's coming and there's nowhere to go for me, I place the problem along with everything else in God's hands. When the people I love who I've grown close to in the fellowship leave, I place the problem along with everything else in God's hands. This is so radical. I'm going to end it here too. And this is real sad. Most people won't make it, Justin. That's the reality. This is not easy. Page 14, simple but not easy. A price must be paid. It means the destruction of self. Most people won't want to do that. I might not make it. I've never left the room, so I don't know. But I know people who do, or I know people who stay in the rooms and don't do the work. In year 15, they're trying to commit suicide. That happened to my friend. He didn't do it, thank God, but year 15. So choose. God is everything or God is nothing.
Love it, Nikki. And to those questions we didn't get to, those people who asked questions, please send me an email at rico12pod@gmail.com. That's RECO12POD@gmail.com. I can get those relayed to Nikki, get you connected with her so that she can answer those directly if that's what you choose to do. And we will also have all of these links of different fellowship information that we got from Nikki here. I'll put those in the show notes. I've also put them in the chat of this meeting, and any other references that have been referred to here will be put in the show notes of the podcast that you'll be able to access here within about 3 hours on any podcast platform you have. Now I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks again, Nikki. That was a great RICO 12 weekly speaker meeting. Your energy and fire is awesome. Just blows me away. Thank you so much. And it was a great meeting for all addicts who are wanting to learn more about addiction and the recovery therefrom. If we didn't get to your question or you have other questions, you can also go to rico12.com/forum and join our group there. Ask any questions, answer any that may come up. And I invite the audience to come back next week. If you've not yet rated and reviewed RICO 12 and Apple Podcasts, please go do so now. It's a great way of working 12-step and sharing this message with others. Next week, we will be hearing from Radek P., whose topic will be Sexaholic Nuts and Bolts of a Healthy Relationship. And I'm looking forward to that one. All right, now let's launch off into the rest of our day with the Step 11 prayer, also known as the Prayer of St. Francis. And I will say that. And of course, my phone went to sleep here, so it'll take me just a second to pull it up. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven. And it is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen. Keep coming back, everybody. It works when I work it, so work it. You are worth it.
Stand reflecting on the landscape of this life of mine. Peaks too high to conquer, streams too wide to cross, troughs too deep to walk through without incurring loss. Yet here I am, still standing tall, despite the rough terrain. One like me survived the storms and walked through wind and rain. Still standing, I will fight the good fight. Still searching